world. My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
And I'm Raph. I also love video games.
Happy Friday, friends. Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Today, this week, it is Black Friday. And when I was a child, Black Fridays were infamous for being no-holds-bars bloodbaths inside of Toys R Us's, in which adults stomp other adults for Tickle Me Elmos. So, I
And
thought to
PS2s.
myself, it'd be interesting to continue our genre study episodes by diving into the Battle Royale genre. if you Google 90s Black Friday Tickle Me Elmo on YouTube or whatever, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you're too young to remember. But the free-for-all, massively multiplayer online genre that's kind of an amorphous genre again, that's maybe only 10 or 15 years old, depending on who you ask.
Juggernaut of a genre now, too.
yeah.
Like taking over the gaming scene.
Yeah, it really has. I wasn't sure how interesting this episode was going to be, but then I started doing research and I was like, oh yeah, this is actually this is most of the gamosphere nowadays. Anyhow, before we get into that, we do have some video game news that we must cover. This week, as of this recording, the Game Awards nominees were released to the world. Jeff Keighley, right? He's the guy who's in charge of the Game Awards. There's a bunch of categories. We are probably going to do a Game of the Year episode next month. So I wanted to go over some of the other categories. We'll touch on the Game of the Year and go over the nominees and say who we probably think is going to win that. But I don't want to deep dive into what our actual opinions on what we think the Game of the Year is. But I'm going to run through some of these categories and get temperatures from my co-hosts, see how they feel about these, who they might win, etc.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Right out the gate, one that I think we're going to have a lot of opinions on, Best RPG. Nominees are Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring, Shadows of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantasio. I haven't played any of these, so I'm tossing it to Buck and Vinny, who I'm pretty sure have played most of them. What do you guys
Buck,
think?
First of all, before we get into this, has anyone played Dragon's Dogma? I have not.
Nope.
No,
I had it on my
haven't,
leftovers list.
No. Okay.
It not to say it's not a good game, but if it wasn't high enough on my list to want to get it and play it, I'm not going to place it higher than my nominee.
It's not going to win.
And
I'm
my
sorry.
nominee
I don't
is Like a
think so,
Dragon,
yeah.
Infinite Wealth.
Yeah.
We can throw that out when it's not going to win.
And I played Rebirth and I played Infinite Wealth, and I'm familiar with Metaphor, which is a great formula, but it's still not the second turn-based Yakuza RPG game, and they knocked it out of the park again. That's my RPG of the year.
Yeah,
Mr. Venacore?
They absolutely did. I think the last three you mentioned, Rebirth, Metaphor, and Like a Dragon, are really the only three names on that list that have a chance. And it could go any way. That's the cool part. I think you could justifiably give it to any one of those three, and really nobody would have any room to complain.
Right.
As good as Elden Ring is, I mean, it's just not RPG of the year.
Good point.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
at
that's
the end
fair,
of the
yeah.
day, as much as I love Final Fantasy, as much as I adored Infinite Wealth, it was fantastic. I am playing through Metaphor right now, and I am just on this nonstop love train with this game. And I got to say, it just keeps on delivering and expounding upon that classic Persona time management formula, dungeon delving formula in ways that we have not seen before. So, I'm not going to get into that, no spoils, but I respect Buck's pick a million percent because it's a phenomenal game. I would have to give it to Metaphor, though.
I got to ask, do you think that's
Interesting.
because of a little bit of new hotness syndrome? Because you are playing Metaphor right now in
Recency bias,
Yakuza's.
they call
That's
that.
interesting.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, Infinite Wealth was what, January, February? So it's literally the very beginning of the year.
Yeah, very beginning.
It's
of the year.
wild that being included in the game and like the Game Awards, especially with how recently it came out. That's kind of crazy.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metaphor's been tracking for a while. It came on my radar like 2 summers ago, so it was an eagerly awaited one for me. And to answer
Oh,
your
I
question
know. We
directly,
knew that.
Buck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To answer your question directly, can we ever truly know? I
Yeah.
mean,
That's fair.
am
That's
I
fair,
really
yeah.
am I really feeling some of that, or is it just completely
Yeah.
unbiased? But I mean, I look back on my time playing Infinite Wealth, and it was awesome. It was fantastic. Just a wonderful experience, and I definitely will play both of the turn-based Yakuza games again, just because they're that good. Um, there's I don't know. Metaphor is doing it for me in ways that I think Infinite Wealth didn't, in terms of I think even some of the writing, even some of the pacing, and even some of the characters. Nah, I can't take it away from Infinite Wealth, because god damn, the characters
Well,
were
because
so good.
here's a good
I can't
question.
even go down that road.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. Me and Raf's opinion on that category probably doesn't matter because we haven't played any of those games. But
Right.
there's another category that is for best narrative, which
Narrative.
also has Rebirth, Like a Dragon, and Metaphor Refantasio in it.
Interesting.
So-
okay.
Yeah. For
when
me,
you separate those two categories,
Mhm.
what separates the narrative being the driving force of an RPG usually?
Mhm.
So how could one win best, like, or at least can you explain to me why one might win best RPG but not best narrative?
I would almost, and not knowing the narrative of Metaphor, that's not fair completely, but I would almost put Rebirth's narrative over Infinite Wealth's narrative because of the overarching story that it's telling. If the category is best narrative, not best package,
Yeah.
which is what
right.
I'd put best RPG, that's the best package. I would almost put Rebirth up there because of the amount of storytelling that they're doing in that game.
And
Mr.
honest to
Vinegar, how do
God,
you feel
That's
about
fair.
that?
Rebirth has taken the story of one of the most well-known RPGs of all time too. So I'm sorry, Vinny.
Well,
go ahead. I
1/3
didn't
of
mean to
it.
interrupt you.
No,
Yeah,
you're
right.
good.
Yeah,
True,
yeah. I didn't
true.
mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So I was thinking about this too, because there's I think one key point that Metaphor outshines Infinite Wealth on, and as someone who has thoroughly played both games, I think I can be pretty fair in saying this. It's the combat and gameplay.
Right.
Infinite Wealth, as amazing as it is, and the fact that we have a Yakuza RPG, turn-based RPG at all, is crazy. The combat and the customization's a little basic.
Mhm.
It's very simple, and that's not a bad thing. And that's not a bad thing, because it allows you to go really deep into all of them
I was gonna say
and
you're
get
saying
the
simple
full.
compared to Metaphor because Infinite Wealth has a job system, which is more than most RPGs
So
have.
so here you go. Infinite
Yeah.
Wealth does have a job system, but it is in my opinion one of the most simplistic job
Sure.
systems we've ever seen. Not in a bad way.
Right.
It's simple enough to where you don't have to invest tons of time to play with it all, experiment with it all, and get the full experience.
You see why it's so
Um,
good, Mac?
yeah, it's really great. Metaphor, on the other hand, is fully invested in this multi-tiered job system and this multi-tiered strengths and weaknesses kind of grid, Pokemon style almost.
Wow.
So yeah, and it really and Persona 5 is like this. I honestly did not play 4, and I want to play part 3 when I get my hands on the remake. I haven't done that yet, but Persona did this as well. If you hit a weakness of the monster, it will actually like stagger them or give you
Mhm.
another action in
Yeah.
Right.
Metaphor's case. So if you're not playing optimally, I started Metaphor on hard, and I'm not setting it back down to normal.
Baller.
Wow.
So
Hell yeah.
if you do not fully invest yourself in taking advantage of the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities of your opponents during even just the most regular combat encounter, you're going to die. You're flat out not going to beat the game.
See,
Right.
to me, I call that Disgaea syndrome, and I hate
It's
it.
not Disgaea, because I can't stand Disgaea.
No, Disgaea is much worse. Yeah,
I'll be
oh my
honest with you.
God.
I love tactical
I love all
RPGs.
this guy I hate.
My favorite
No, it's
my
just too
favorite
hard.
my favorite
Hard.
game of all time
Yeah.
is Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't like Disgaea. I can't stand that game.
I tried
Because
in college. I
I
tried
feel
so
like
hard to get
Not
into
even
it.
When you say
Unless-
about, when you talk about investing yourself and understanding the system completely, that's the
Right.
game that comes to mind for me. You have to
Right.
have a
Sure.
PhD in Disgaea to enjoy Disgaea.
Brother, let me tell you, Metaphor ain't even
That's
close
to
that
Right.
level of insanity. Um, But
It's a good thing.
So it's
yeah,
are you
yeah,
are you
it's a good
basically
thing.
it's like the gameplay of Metaphor makes it a better RPG, but do you think who would you give the nom to for narrative, any?
It's funny. I would give it to Infinite Wealth.
I like
uh,
Interesting.
that pick.
I
Interesting.
would give.
Interesting.
I voted best narrative. I selected Infinite Wealth on that one
I know
because
you
I
guys. I was gonna say I know both of you guys said that it made you cry. And
It
I
did.
also heard that it's one of the silliest games that came out this year. So the fact that it can be both is like, it sounds like a pretty good narrative to
That's
me.
because of so many side quests too. If you were to
Yeah,
go
I
straight and
mean,
skip, yeah,
regardless.
sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
the and I think one thing that Infinite Wealth has going for it that the other games just don't is that you've got this is part 8. You've got 7 games of history and 7 games worth of opportunities to build in like some really heartwarming connections to the previous Yakuza timeline. The Zero, the Kiryu and the Kiryu and Majima days of the past, the glory days, and getting to see that woven together versus a modern storyline and actually getting to play as Kiryu in this version.
Right.
And not only
That was
have the new protagonist Ichiban not only have his kind of carrying the torch, new guy taken over and everybody loves him, but also get to kind of steep yourself back into the older Yakuza days with the Kiryu group, so to speak, is what was
Very
really something.
satisfying.
It was
Right.
it
As
was
far
really
as
satisfying.
completing
Yeah.
the narrative of the overarching saga that is Yakuza
But
slash Like
this
a
is
Dragon.
also why Rebirth absolutely deserves equal consideration because you've got this 3 game long overarching
Legacy.
story that is
Yeah.
just so well done. So it really comes down to personal favorite at that point. I had to give it to Infinite Wealth.
Yeah. A couple more categories I wanted to touch on here. Best indie game.
Oh yeah. I already know
Animal
that.
Well,
Yeah.
Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eye,
You
Neva,
can stop there.
or UFO
Yeah,
50.
You could stop after the first 2. UFO 50 is great.
The UFO
but
50 is the last one.
I know.
And for me, for my money, I would give best indie game to UFO 50
Wow.
Interesting.
Really? Wow.
because
As much as you loved Animal Well, that's wow. That's
yeah,
great.
because
thought
I
you were gonna
think
say Animal
Animal Well should get other awards, frankly. Like Game of the Year.
It may very well with the track record of the Game
UFO
Awards.
50 is Animal Well. I don't think is nominated for
It's
Game
not
of the
nominated for Game of
Year,
the
which
Year.
is fucking bonkers. Anyhow, so UFO 50, I would give it to that because I mean, if we're talking best indie game, as in like, what's the funnest independent game that was made by an independent developer this year? I mean, this is 50 independent games.
True.
So I'm just saying, like, this one game's 50 games, so that makes it the best indie game for your money, in my opinion. That shit is fucking crazy. Raph, who would you give the edge to? There's so many good ones in here.
Well, okay, so UFO 50's been out for how long now? What, like a month? I want to say, right? Something like that.
Give or take.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I put 21 hours into it. In that month. I know Mac, you've put in probably twice as much.
Oh, yeah.
With Animal Well, I put in about roughly 40 hours before I technically beat it, quote unquote. So if we're going purely on game time, purely on the amount that I've been wanting to play these games, I would say maybe UFO 50. But honestly, the game that left the most impact on me this year was for sure Animal Well. Honestly, it just, I mean, the art design, the mystery that game invokes. I just wanted to keep playing it. I was so addicted to it, and I couldn't put it down. So honestly, for me, it doesn't go to anyone else but Animal Well.
Venicor, Buck.
I think I love UFO 50, but I think that Animal Well was just it was the closest thing to like a Super Metroid experience I've had since Super Metroid.
It was something special, but so is UFO 50. They're both special.
Oh
special
yeah,
games.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mr. Venicor,
I'll
giving
be
it to
the
Balatro?
I'll be the wild card because I'm going to say Balatro.
Yep.
And
It's
here's
it's the only one he played.
I had a
well,
feeling.
it's for
Not the
good
only one I
reason.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Balatro, and let me tell you why. Because I find myself wanting to come back to that game and play it like every week. Like I play a few rounds of Balatro, a few times a week, and I always have a good time. And I can get on my PS Portal and just lounge around and just play. I mean, it's a fantastic game for that format. And I don't know, just a pure enjoyment, pure amount of enjoyment and pure draw for me was Balatro. As cool as Animal Well is, um, Balatro's got me coming back every week. So,
and I got to get off my ass and get that game, honestly.
Oh my fucking God, Raph, you haven't
I
played
haven't played
Balatro? Oh my
No,
God,
no.
it's so...
Yeah.
Okay, this segues perfectly into the last category I wanted to...
numbers guy, so Balatro is always getting my juices pumping.
I just got to get off my ass and get it, honestly.
The last category I want to touch on is best game direction.
Interesting.
I'm going to list the games that are in this category.
Yes.
Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio, and Balatro.
I have a question about that. Can we try and define game direction?
Is this art
for my own benefit?
Oh, I would very much love to do that for you, Buck. Hello, my name is Max Stan, and video games are art.
What have you done?
I'm so glad Buck has asked this question.
What
does a director do on a project? What does it mean to direct?
Buck, put it back. Put it back in the tube.
Oh God!
I found this nomination to be the most interesting nomination of all of the Game Awards noms, because I had the same exact question as Buck just asked. What does it mean to be a game director? Which led me to the other question. What does it mean to be a movie director? Let's talk about direction in directing, and what does it actually mean to direct a production?
Okay.
Because then maybe we might get to like the answer of like, would the best direction would the video game with the best direction have the best scene in it? Would that be the game that's like the most cinematic, maybe? And I would say no, that's not what directors do. Directors don't necessarily make movies cinematic. What I would say is that let's think about the movie Taxi Driver really quick, right? Martin Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Scorsese did not write Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver was written by Paul Schrader. Mm-hmm. Martin Scorsese did not decide where any lights would go when making Taxi Driver. That was cinematographer Michael Chapman's job. Okay. Scorsese didn't operate the camera. Scorsese didn't even tell Robert De Niro to say, "You talking to me?" That was Robert De Niro's idea. So what in the heck did Martin Scorsese do on the set of Taxi Driver? Well, the short answer is that while a director's primary focus is to normally work with actors to guide their performances, more generally, a director is usually the singular person responsible for translating the vibes of a script into their film format, with the assistance of hundreds of other artists, usually. So what I'm getting at is he may not hang the lights, he may not do the makeup, he may not write the script, but at the end of the day, he works with all of those people to get the vision of the story Taxi Driver to be as quote unquote realized as possible. That's the big fancy art word I'm going to use today. But with a video game,
inject their own vision into it too, right? I mean, the director is also putting their own vision into like that overall artwork.
My point is, they have no choice.
Right.
It's not that they're also doing it. That's the only thing they're doing. Their only thing. They have a piece of paper that was written by someone else, unless they're Quentin Tarantino, and they are the buck stops here person that says, "What's this gonna feel like? What's Taxi Driver gonna feel like?" Because it's gonna be a culmination of the sound, the lights, the actors, the sets, the costumes, the makeup, hundreds of other things I can't even begin to explain. But Martin Scorsese doesn't actually do any of that thing. He just gives his opinion to all these people. So in a video game, these jobs are just changed. So the role of actor and director of photography and assistant director become level designer and sound designer and UI designer. In fact, ironically enough, in this day and age, most video games also do actually have actors that they have to direct as well. See Hideo Kojima. In conclusion, what I am saying is that the game with the best direction, while not necessarily being the game with the most cinematic cutscenes or the best acting or writing, would in fact be Balatro. Because this game has the most solid vision of itself, which is a nebulous thing to say, which is why I'm wearing this hat. It's a nebulous definition of what makes a game feel singular in its vision. So imagine you are Local Thunk, which is the name of the guy who made Balatro, and you have this idea for a roguelike card game, and then your friend asks you, what is it gonna be like? And then you describe Balatro. So cut to it. If you've played it, Buck and Venny, you know what I'm talking about. Raph, you don't understand the vibes that this roguelike card game gives off.
And we can't explain it.
It can't explain it. It is a combination of eerie and welcoming that is unlike anything I've played since Inscription, but it's a game where you basically make a weird 52 pickup deck with a bunch of John Wayne Gacy faces. The gameplay is addictive and satisfying. The sounds and the visuals are impeccable. On the whole, it does its own strange thing with such consistency and charm that it sells 2 million copies in 6 months.
That's wild.
That's a hell of a retirement plan.
It's funny when you said direction, I almost was gonna go with Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, just because as like I am thinking more artistic direction, I suppose. It looks and feels of a certain world. It feels like you're in the lands between or whatnot. But now now that I'm hearing this, I think you might be right. Balatro is a cohesive piece of art.
That would be best art direction.
Right.
Yes.
Which is a different category.
That's
a different category.
It includes, the atmosphere is so consistent and this and this, but this is just direction. And the Balatro being in there is if the question is why, the answer is because the whole package is so itself.
Right.
The only way to describe it is it's the most the very subtle CRT filter over the whole entire game. You know what I mean? Where you're
sure.
The music is addictive, and I don't know if Buck, you or Venny have when you first started playing it, did you also feel like it was kind of scary?
Yes, because I had Inscription vibes from it. Are these jokers going to jump out and eat me?
It made me uneasy and kind of
right.
It was an unnerving feeling, and I'm like, is something about to happen?
Well, then it turns out it's okay, but it's
right. It does turn out it's okay, but the whole vibe is just something that I've never experienced before, and it's I don't know. I just love the idea of what does direction mean, and to me, I think it means getting a bunch of pieces together in perfect formation to make something. It doesn't have to be cinematic; it could just be itself. And Balatro is the most beat of its own drum game I played this year. Like nothing else like it. It's the best roguelike since Slay the Spire, in my opinion.
Well, guys, don't twist my arm. I think I'm going to pick up Balatro.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, spoilers, Raph. It's not scary or creepy or anything. It just kind of has that vibe when you fire it up.
It's unexplainable.
And that's honestly what I like.
Yeah.
I like that about that. Like Inscription itself also was a game that was not necessarily scary, but was eerie. It had moments that were scary, I suppose, but it had this eeriness that pervaded it. And
it's not scary. It's just
it's less than Inscription, but it's still there. I can't
Buckshot
explain.
Roulette was scary.
Buckshot Roulette is obviously scary, directly scary.
Yeah.
Inscription directly. There's a moment where you're chained to a table and a guy is telling you to play a game. You know what I mean? But in Balatro, you're just playing with cards. But for some reason, when you start it up, you're like, what? What? Why
am I so upset?
I just think it takes so much.
Why did the music do that? Why did the music do that? What?
I just think it takes so much commitment on behalf of the singular creator to pull it together. So that's my
good on him.
Very artsy opinion.
An aside, real quick, I just want to ask, what platform would you guys recommend I get this on?
Switch.
The Switch? That's what I was thinking
handheld.
because
I play on the Steam Deck, so yes.
Switch sounds good, but I'll have to hook it up with Bluetooth headphones.
Your phone.
Or something like that,
Get it on your phone.
Yeah, it's
Switch
available now.
seems...
It is on your phone.
I think Switch sounds good because then I could put it on the TV if I want to.
If you want to,
You
yeah.
won't.
But you'll play
You
it
won't.
on everywhere on
won't.
the couch.
You won't
Actually,
want to.
Buck,
so
it's
easy.
pretty fun to play on the TV now and then. I got to be
Yeah.
honest. It's very big. It feels very big because you're gonna play it mostly on handhelds. It's like,
feels
whoa,
very
it's like
big.
playing Vampire Survivors on a big screen.
Yeah.
Which I've also been doing.
Well, the new Vampire Survivors. All right. That, I think we have gone quite some time talking about this. I wanted to just touch on the Game of the Year nominees and give our guesses, just to have it in perpetuity in case we're right, before we move on to our discussion about Battle Royale. So the nominees for Game of the Year are Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Balatro. I think it's going to go to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I feel like Jeff Keighley has a soft spot for being popular, and Final Fantasy VII is the most popular.
Well, I don't know. It Takes Two won a couple years back. I mean, indie games have definitely won Game of the Year.
Strange.
Just from the discussion I've been seeing online, I think it's going to be Balatro.
Wow.
I think people are gonna rally around this game because they're all kind of freaking out that it's there, that it's even on the list.
Yeah, it just had a cool impact. I think that's why It Takes Two won, because they were like, "Whoa, what's this?" And then people went and checked it out and went, "This is cool." Okay.
Buck, what do you think is going to win?
I think it will be Rebirth just because of the impact that had on gaming this year. But Balatro is really fucking cool.
Metaphor ReFantazio.
He's also got
What do you
Astrobot
think?
up there.
I know that's his Game of the Year.
I think it's going to be Metaphor or Astrobot. Personally,
Astrobot.
Astrobot is way up there in the nominations, way up there.
But it's a Sony exclusive, right? So you've cut out 2/3 of the gamers.
What does that tell you, though? It's already on the docket for nomination for Best of the Year, and it's still a Sony exclusive.
That is
what does that tell you?
Crazy.
It's
No, that actually
that
is legit.
good.
Not to say it's not a great game. Rebirth is a PS5 exclusive. I mean, that I'm not saying that it doesn't make it a good game. I'm saying the accessibility of people voting. You just cut out 75% of your voting base.
That's true. That's true.
It's what it is. I think Metaphor is going to win, though, if I'm being honest. I think it's going to come in with the hotness syndrome and the fact that it is just as good as it is. I would, if Balatro wins, I'm going to stand and clap. I just don't know. I just don't know.
That's a sign of a good
It's going to be an
game.
exciting announce. It's going to be very exciting.
That's a sign of a good year of gaming.
I think so.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I think we're going to have to get right to our topic at hand of Battle Royales, because we're going a little bit over on time. I got a little excited talking about directing. All right. Be right back. Battle Royales, gentlemen. Let's talk about this gaming genre, this free-for-all, this hard to pin down sort of genre of gaming. So, listen, this genre has absolutely dominated the video game market for the past 10 years, I'd say. Let's just list some games that you may have heard of before. Apex Legends, PUBG, Call of Duty Warzone, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Hunt Showdown even has a Battle Royale mode, Battlefield 5, Fall Guys, H1Z1. Don't forget a little game called Fortnite. In fact, if you type in Battle Royale into Steam, you will get about 2,100 results for video games that just have Battle Royale in the title.
1/3 of them are pornographic, but
they're like titties Battle Royale, fucking boobies Royale.
They make porno Battle Royale games.
Yeah, gotta go.
Let's not forget World of Warcraft even jumped on the Battle Royale train and released Plunderstorm, a pirate themed Battle Royale.
I didn't know about that.
It's not standalone.
Let's not
plays
forget
within World of Warcraft.
Halo Infinite, they almost turned that story mode into a Battle Royale or whatever mode. Remember when that was news and people were like, "Don't do it to Halo, man." So the premise of a last man standing mode has this is not new. Mm-hmm. So I was doing research and they're like, Bomberman in 1995 6 has a mode where 4 players start with nothing and then they got to go through a level of Bomberman and then the last one standing wins. And it's like, that's true. I didn't think about that. But so I would say that's not quite like the only defining factor you can use to define this genre, because it's on the surface. That's why I thought it's like it's a game where a bunch of people start on a map and then by the end there's not that many. It's like, well,
it's
no,
the movie Battle Royale.
Oh yes, I'm going to get that right here. So there are a couple movies that inspired this genre. So long story, Hunger Games comes out, a Minecraft mod called Survival Games becomes massively popular. Then in 2012 is the game DayZ, right? Which is a modded version of the game Arma 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this mod, you and other players are pitted against zombies. You're trying to survive in like a post-apocalyptic wasteland or whatever. But in the game, like acting with other players is very few and far in between. It's mostly interacting. Yeah, map was way big.
Map is huge, so you don't run into people sometimes.
The map doesn't shrink.
Yeah.
But then guy named Player Unknown, who's a modder in the DayZ community, makes
just
a mod.
Little guy. Just a little guy. Player Unknown, yeah.
Makes a mod called DayZ Battlegrounds. So it's Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, right?
Yeah.
So Player Unknown's Battlegrounds mod features more player interaction because it makes the map slowly shrink, which brings up the film Battle Royale in the year 2000. So this is a Japanese.
Great movie.
Oh my god, it's incredible. So
movie.
Also shout out to Mean Guns, a 1997 movie starring Christopher Lambert and Ice-T, where Ice-T gives a bunch of Syndicate members guns inside of a mall, and they have to find their own ammo and supplies. I was like, technically, Mean Guns beat Battle Royale to the punch by like 3 years. Just saying.
Running Man technically also kind of a Battle Royale movie? Running Man?
No, it's more
no,
like
because there's only one
TV.
contestant in
Okay.
Running Man. But the thing that Mean Guns doesn't have is the shrinking map. So if you've never seen Battle Royale, they do have the play area keeps getting smaller and smaller, and if they're outside of it, they get killed. I'm not gonna.
Right.
Battle Royale is an extremely graphic movie from the year 2000, starring a bunch of Japanese teens that get brutally murdered by each other. So
how old's the
trigger
book? I thought it
warning.
was much earlier than that. Yeah.
No, it came out in the year 2000, based off a book from 1999. It's a fantastic movie, but so this mod is like totally heavily inspired by this movie. So you start with nothing, you get dropped into this world with other people. The map slowly gets smaller and smaller as you travel through the map. You pick up shit that you use against your enemies. Okay, cut to 2017. PUBG is about to come out as a standalone game. It has been in early access for a long time, and it breaks the following Guinness World Records. Fastest time for a Steam early access video game to sell 1 million copies. Fastest time for a Steam early access video game to gross $100 million in revenue. Jesus. First non-Valve game to be most played game on Steam. Most concurrent players for a Steam early access video game. Most concurrent players on Steam for a non-Valve video game. Most actively played video game on Steam. First video game with 2 million concurrent players on Steam. The game makes money hand over fucking fist is what I'm getting at. So then everyone else is like, oh shit, let's do that.
We like money. We should hang out.
There's money.
Cut to literally like a few months after PUBG has come out, and a little tiny shitty game called Fortnite, which at this time is basically just a tower defense game where you make buildings with your
like
friends.
Zombies and shit. Right?
And it was so fun back then.
They decide to copy PUBG's homework. And if you've been alive for the past 10 years, I don't need to explain to you what has happened since then. Because you can play as Jack Skellington versus the Terminator with an alien backpack on in that game. And Peter Griffin, I don't even know
Finn
who.
and Jake from Adventure Time.
It's Xenomorph for the lightsaber.
The Dragon Ball Z gang.
Yeah.
It's, I think, the most
Vader.
successful video game IP right now, like inarguably. I think
which is hilarious because its own IP is not really the popular thing in it. It's like everyone else's IP in it. That's
you don't like Jonesy? You're not a Jonesy fan?
Oh yeah, I love
guy.
Jonesy. Yeah,
the banana,
the
banana guy. But that is basically.
The Save the World mode in OG Fortnite, like 2014 Fortnite. It was so fun. I loved it so much, and then nobody cared because it was this big hit Battle Royale game. I didn't give a shit about the Battle Royale game, but whatever.
I never played the Defend the World one.
It
honestly.
was fun. It was
Yeah,
so
I played
fun.
it a
It had
couple
RPG elements. You could like level up your guns, level up your characters, and unlock new abilities to make your towers and your traps better. And it was really good. But whatever.
Pivot.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's now basically taking over the world. At the top of the list, I listed a
K-boomer.
bunch of really successful battle royale games, but Buck has a really somber note to deliver because
Cue the Sarah McLachlan music.
Yeah, Buck, can you go ahead and take it away?
We'd like to say a few words for our fallen comrades in the battle royale genre. The Culling 2. Warface. Realm Royale. Spellbreak. And Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt.
Gone too soon.
Record scratch. Radical Heights was awesome.
I didn't play that one. I didn't play
Radical Heights
Yeah.
was made by Boss Key Productions. That's Cliff Bleszinski's studio.
Yeah.
It was made in 5 months to take advantage of this battle royale crazy townness. It was set in the 80s. It was like Smash TV and a battle royale had a baby with like supermarkets and toy stores and crap all of inside of it, and game show areas inside the different parts of the zone. And if you won and got the top dog and killed the last person, it played Joe Esposito's hit, "You're the Best Around."
Fuck yeah, dude.
What? From the Karate Kid.
Cuts to his like lawyer. Did you remember to pay for the rights for that? I think I did. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We'll be
They're
gone
not
in
gonna
4
come
months.
after us.
You rode a BMX bike around the map as like your fast
wow.
travel
Wow.
kind of thing. That game
That's
was
funny.
great, and it was only out for like 2 months,
Wow.
and it died.
What a
Raph,
tragedy.
what are some of your opinions on battle royales? What ones have you played? What ones do you
man.
like? What's good?
So I've always been kind of on the fringes of battle royale games. Technically, I play a lot of games that are adjacent to this. I used to play DayZ extensively when it was the Arma 2 mod. Dude, I put hours into that shit. It was a lot of fun. But I did actually play Fortnite when it first was a battle royale game, like when it first came out. And I thought with this game, I was like, shit, dude, like you got this building mechanic in here that's kind of cool, but honestly, also kind of annoying when kids build like 1,000,000-foot tall tower and just fucking snipe you from it. Yeah, it got really annoying. But really, the only battle royale games that I played like heavily were Fortnite back in the day and Call of Duty Warzone. Me and my friends used to play Warzone a lot. And it's not necessarily the best battle royale game.
It's not bad though.
It's not.
Nah,
No, I had a
like
lot
it.
of fun with it. If you get friends together in any one of these games, you dive in, you fuck around, man. You fuck around, you run into buildings, you look around for shit, you get shot at, you shoot a couple of people.
You find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You fuck around and then you find out. Battle royale games, they're fun, man. They're fun. Like I said, I'm more focused on the stuff that's around it. I like the survival games. I like extraction shooters. I've gotten more into those, especially with Hunt. You guys introduced me to Hunt, and I'm fucking
Love
addicted
Hunt.
to it, man.
Yeah.
But even Hunt has his own battle royale mode. I didn't even think about that.
Don't worry
I
about
didn't
it.
think about that when
Yeah.
you said it. I was like, oh
Practice.
shit, that's right.
Yeah.
It is good practice. But yeah, straight up, man. I like the concept, but I like games that kind of like flushed it out in other ways. Like like I said, DayZ, 7 Days to Die, Hunt, Helldivers 2. That's an extraction shooter. It's not really a battle royale game, but yeah. I dig the genre. It's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Mr. Venecor, have you got any battle royale experience that you liked or anything?
No.
No.
Wait, we had a good battle royale game that we talked about, Venny. What's your favorite battle royale game?
Danganronpa.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Favorite
Phoenix
game
Wright
like
meets
battle royale.
It's Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney meets Battle Royale. It's kids doing crimes on other kids in Japan
In visual
and then
novel format.
systematically getting eliminated by being found guilty. That's a real Battle Royale.
It's a
That's
man's battle royale.
Battle Royale. Narrative driven. Let's go.
Got him.
You mentioned like conventions that make this genre itself, and honestly, I think the biggest thing is really the emergent storytelling and gameplay that comes from these games. It's hanging out with your friends in the battlefield that keeps getting smaller and smaller, and then some crazy shit happens. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
you mentioned a while
That's
back.
You
my
said
favorite part
storytelling,
about
and I'm like, there's no. Yeah, I'm like, there's no fucking storytelling. Oh, with your friends, that's a good. That's
you
good.
make your
That's a
own
good one.
stories.
Okay.
It's
you
like
know?
these little, like every time you load into a game of Hunt, it's its own little adventure. You know what
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mac, you've talked about PUBG before and how you used to play PUBG back in the day.
I was
and
gonna
how,
say my favorite
yeah.
ones. I liked Apex Legends when
Me
it
too.
came out. I played it for a bit because I like Overwatch. If you know me,
You like
you
the
know
classes,
that
right?
I like the classes because you probably know that
Overwatch
I'm
is cool.
bad at shooters. So I need something else to do. Like I need to be the shield guy. I need to be the point man or something, like, or whatever. And secondly, if you play video games with me, I can't see where shit. So I need my
Spotting.
game to be very bright,
Spotting,
like is what I'm
yeah.
getting at. Like I can't see when games are just gray. I don't know how Hunt does it because I actually like
you're
am
pretty
not
good at
bad
Hunt,
at
yeah.
Hunt, but like Call of Duty, impossible for me. I can't tell the difference between the wall and the guy standing in front of the wall. I just can't see him. So in Apex Legends, you had
I
big,
get that.
colorful characters of varied shape. Like they had like suits of armor on that were just like, I'm a guy. I'm not even trying to be camouflaged. Hello. So it's just like, thank God.
Hi, Chappie.
Yes, you're a chappie. I also really like the gun designs in Apex Legends. I thought were really cool. But number one with a bullet for me is PUBG. It's phenomenal. When it first came out, especially, I thought it was just a transformative game. I still remember seeing clips of it on Highlight Reel, which is a Kotaku thing. Kotaku's Highlight Reel comes out on YouTube. I remember seeing it and just being like, what in the absolute fuck is in this game? Just like seeing a guy in his underwear with a welding mask on, parachuting out of the sky, landing, jumping into a car, running over a guy, running into a building, grabbing a shotgun, turning around, and then immediately getting shot and killed or something. Like, to no music at all, dead silence, like just the most low poly. And I was just like, what in the absolute fuck is this? I've never seen anything like this. And I immediately went to Buck and be like, have you seen this gameplay on Nose Battle? We have to download it. It looks so crazy. And it is still to this day my number one most played game on Steam.
Really?
By over 300 hours, sitting at 414 hours is PUBG.
Wow.
300 hours behind it is Skyrim and Baldur's Gate.
Whoa.
That's how much fucking PUBG
I'd kind of forgotten that you definitely had a PUBG phase. I'd kind of forgotten that.
And I sucked at it the entire time. Played 414 hours,
dude.
sucked at it constantly. But the reason I kept coming back is because of pretty much what Raph said, where it's just like sometimes the experience is like, I was listening to a YouTube video earlier, like just doing research, and it's like sometimes you're an action hero because everything goes right. And sometimes you are just like the background actor in fucking what's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's on Mars and he's getting fake
Total Recall.
And sometimes you're the guy on Total Recall that Arnold Schwarzenegger like holds in front of himself, so it just gets like pelted with machine gun bullets. Like you're just fucked. Like you start the game, you don't land near anything good. You're surrounded by 20 guys. They all got amazing guns, and you're just like, well, and then you just get rocked. You know what I mean? But you never know when you're going to be one of the guys who lands by the gun, and you take everyone out, and then you take all the shit that they picked up, and you're just like, I'm Keanu Reeves and John Wick. Like, I'm a fucking badass. Like, it's I don't know. I first person shooters where you like have guns ahead of time, they sort of play out the same way. But in battle royales, you and everyone else is like subjected to a randomized, like, dark grip of reality is the best way I can explain it. Like, life is unfair. So are battle royales. Like, sometimes you just drop and you're like, this isn't fair. And the game's like, can you survive? I know I just put you in an unfair circumstance. And then you get these emergent story moments where it's just like, so me and Raph dropped, right? And we didn't land by any guns, except one of us had a shotgun. And so I ran into the hallway and made a bunch of noise. And then when the guy ran by, Raph fucking shot him. and that's like it's like paintball or something. You know what I mean? You have the
Yeah,
story
right.
to
Yes,
tell your
that's
friends.
a very good way to put
Yeah,
it. It's like
right.
paintball. I was gonna say fisherman stories, but yes, paintball stories is a
Like
really good way to put it.
how many paintball stories do you have that kind of went the same way? It's like, oh
Yes.
yeah, we were hiding behind the bunker, and then fucking they were shooting at us. We were pinned
Yep.
down. My buddy threw a paint grenade, and then he
Yep.
flanked him. Yeah, exactly.
It's the
Everybody,
grip
everybody's
of-
played paintball has the same thing.
Right.
It's the
yeah.
grip of the unknown. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you never know what gun's gonna be where, if there's gonna be armor, who's gonna be there with you, as opposed to like in Call of Duty, you're like the enemy. There's this spawn point and this spawn point and this spawn point.
Yeah.
And they start with whatever guns they start with is what they have. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It's just a more engaging, more varied, more interesting subgenre of the. I don't know. It's not always a shooter because, like I said, you got fucking that cutesy ass one, Fall Guys, where it's
Yeah,
just like
right.
you know, or Tetris. Tetris has their own. What's the Tetris 99? Start
I
off
was
with
gonna
Tet-
say
99
Tetris
Tetris
99
players,
and
and you slowly
F-Zero
kill each
99.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are super cool, like
Yeah.
ways. I mean, it's not kind of the same. I guess kind of shooters is more the way battle royales really
Yes
are.
and
but-
no. Yes and no. You know,
Yeah.
who's to say? Not us, because we're just regular ass gamers. Which brings me to our final break. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk about what us normie ass gamers have been playing since last week. We'll be right back.
En los brazos de un ángel estará.
Okay, we're back, and we are ready for our What Else You Got, the segment of our show where we're allowed to bring anything to the table, video game or otherwise. I will go first. Genshin Impact finally came out on Xbox.
Oh.
So I spent
wow.
all day downloading it because it's 100 gigs. And
Oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah,
really?
that's fucking crazy.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah. So I had to take, sorry, Raph, I had to take Street Fighter 6 off the hard drive for a little bit so I can play Genshin Impact.
You're good.
It's,
you'll
I
see.
don't know. I want to see what all the hubbub is about. You know what I mean? Like I've heard people
Bub.
compare it to Breath of the Wild. So I'm like, well, I like that game. But then when I watch it, it's like an action RPG that looks more like Visions of Mana or something. So I'm like, if it's free and it's anything like these games and everyone seems to be addicted to its gotcha mechanics, so maybe I'll get addicted too. And then I'll ride that sweet addiction into Pleasure Town. But yeah, so I'll probably play that after this. But speaking of addiction, I also picked up the Pokemon trading card game app. Have you picked it up? Has anyone
Cool.
picked it up?
I can't battle yet because I'm not a high enough level.
Yeah.
You have to collect and do enough cardboard
Level 3.
virtual
Yeah,
crack
it just
first.
takes like two days worth of tapping or whatever. But if you haven't heard about it, I don't know how, but the Pokemon company has turned the opening of the Pokemon cards into a game. So into a free idle game essentially. So yeah, you start up the game and then it's just like, hey, this is the game. So like every day you get to open 2 booster packs of Pokemon cards that are virtual. So like here they are. And then you open it up and then it's just like, oh shit, look at that. You got an EX Arcanine. Nice. And then you're like, okay, cool.
First
What do
one's
I-
free, kid.
Yeah, what do I do? And then it's just like, open another one, bro. And you get to like,
Wait,
it shows you a little booster pack. And first,
It's-
no, let me back
it's-
up.
it's not the card game.
No,
It
it
is.
is. It is.
It
You
is.
can.
Okay. For a second, I was like, you just opened booster packs?
Because
can.
when
What
you
the
first started out, you can't play the
game?
card game. So I thought the same thing.
It's an
Ah,
altered
I see.
version
Okay,
of the
okay,
card
okay.
game, however, when you do play it. But
Hmm.
the main draw is every day you get to you get a wheel of different booster packs that are obviously just like not there, and you spin them and
What
go,
is this?
ooh, which one's the lucky one?
Gotta get my daily Pokemon
You
dopamine
click it,
rush.
and then you literally have to like use your finger like a DS game to like
Cut it.
open it up.
Amazing.
Like you're like
that's incredible.
planning it, and then you pull the cards out, and you have to swipe to open. They only have 5 cards in them, which is a little bit different than normal booster decks or whatever. But yeah, you collect a binder of the Pokemon cards from different eras. So there's like all the different art style. Like so, it's like 20 different types of Slowpoke and whatever. If you get duplicates, you can trade them into. It's addictive. It's
And
every
as of
day
last
you're
week,
taking. Yeah.
It's already made $120 million.
Oh wow!
So silly.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to. I don't know. I can't explain anything, but just download it. It's free. You get to while you're pooping, you get one ASMR moment where you do the thing, and then I drew an EX Mewtwo, and I was like, "This is cool." You can hold the card and like rotate it around and look at it, and I was like, "Nice."
If it
So I
detects
just
you're pooping, it
unlocked-
lets you open an extra pack.
I just unlocked the ability to battle people, so I'm gonna assemble a deck and fuck some people up.
And
I
learn
can't
how to
wait.
play the Pokemon card game for the first
Again,
time.
yeah, for the first time.
For the first time.
Yeah. So that's my what else you got, Buck. What else have you got for us this week?
I think I have 2 new what else you gots that have never been what else you gotted by us getting in the gots.
Okay,
Okay.
go on.
The first one, the first one is an industry trade show. I
Okay,
went
yeah.
to IAPA, which is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions show here in Orlando once a
Nice.
year. It's where people that operate fun setters and amusement parks with roller coasters and all those kinds of things go to. There's a whole section where they just sell people that build water parks or service water parks or fix things for water parks and ball pits and inflatable houses. And there's a whole section. I went there because really there's a whole section for arcade machines and pinball. And so there's a whole section with all the new redemption games and claw machines and pinball machines and all that fun stuff. And so I got to play a couple of pinball machines that my local place, Pinball Lounge, doesn't have yet. And I walk up and I'm sitting there waiting with the wife to play X-Men. And past me with the most distinguishable mustache in the universe is Mr. Roger Sharp. If you don't know who that is, if you don't know who that is, people who aren't pinball people, there's actually a movie about him that came out a couple years ago called The Man Who Saved Pinball. This guy, back in 1976, pinball used to be illegal, if you kids didn't know. It was deemed, especially by places like Chicago and New York, to be a gambling machine. So they were illegal. If you Google that, you will see videos and pictures of pinball machines being destroyed by the droves. So in 1976, he was at a New York City hearing where he provided a demonstration to members of the Manhattan City Council that pinball was a game of skill and not of a game of chance. They set up different things. He was recruited by the Amusement Association at the time, what they used to be back then. And they positioned the ball in different ways and whatnot. And he could tell you where it was going to go and how he would react, and showed it live inside of that hearing room. And they voted unanimously that he's right. That's not a game of gambling. He proved that with his skill, he can win over all these people every time.
That is
Like a
fucking
boss, man.
incredible.
And so I got a selfie with him, and he walked up, and I love pinball. And so he literally walked past, and I was like, Roger Sharp, thanks for what you did for this hobby, man. He was like, hey, thank you very much. And they started to walk away, and I was like, can I get a photo with you? It was super nice.
A living
awesome.
legend.
Hell yeah,
It
dude.
really
Hey,
is.
thanks
yeah.
for saving an industry.
Right. One that I like too,
Single-handedly.
so-
Not
By
just the history
being
of it.
like Conan the Barbarian, where it was just like, what champion will step in front of fucking, the triarchy of judgment to show you that you are
Yep.
truly.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking rolled up his sleeves and was like, hold my beer.
Yep.
It's fucking sick.
And both of his kids still work in pinball to this day, Josh and Zach. So they work from. It's pretty cool. It was pretty cool he was there. So that was really neat. That was a neat
incredible.
moment for me. That
It's
made
incredible.
my day. My second one is not nearly as fucking cool. I will read this from this newswire that I just saw come across my table right before this episode was recorded. From WDW World Insiders, new Monsters Inc. land will replace Muppets Courtyard and Muppet Vision 3D at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida,
Whoa.
which is
I also
my favorite fucking attraction.
I also heard from an insider of my own that Rock and Roller Coaster is going to get a remake and become Muppet themed.
Part 2 of this same news story,
Yeah.
that Rock and Roller Coaster will be rethemed to make way for the Muppets and the Electric Mayhem. Will be they're going to
Ooh,
retheme
good
that roller coaster
idea.
to make it a Muppets roller coaster.
I'm okay with
Nice.
this. Yeah.
But man, that Muppets show is good as fuck.
I love the
if
Muppets
you've never
show.
done it. Yeah.
I love
that
that
I'm
show.
upset about, but honestly, I'm okay with them replacing Aerosmith. It's fine.
I'm fine with them replacing Aerosmith, but
Yeah.
the Muppets 3D vision is, I mean, it's
love
literally
that
like, I
show,
think
yeah.
it's the only attraction left in like any Disney parks. It's like the fucking parks open besides like, Peter Pan and shit.
Damn, that's tragic.
Tragic.
tragic. It really
Okay, maybe
is,
it's not
you know?
tragic, but whatever.
So theme park news. The first time my what else you got
It's
is
really
theme park
sad,
news.
all right?
That's cool. Well, yeah, in Orlando, you got double theme park news. Who'd have thunk it? Hey, Raph, what have you got for us this week?
I've got a couple of things. I've got a game and I have a review.
Yes.
So this week, it's funny you mentioned Street Fighter 6 because I was like, you know what? I've done this deep dive into fighting games, especially Street Fighter.
Oh my God, that's right. I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Buck,
yeah.
you're going to love this.
Yes. Okay. So I went on Amazon and I saw that it was on sale for like $20, and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get this for the PS4 so we can play it out in the living room with our roommate's PS4, Eric. His PS4 is out there. So I bought the 30th anniversary collection that has 12 Street Fighter games on here.
Yeah.
When I received it, I noticed something was a little off, right? So I open it up. The disc looks legitimate. It looks like it's authentic, but the box does not.
Look at this shit.
Oh, it's cropped as fuck.
And cropped as fuck. I think that I have a legitimate game, but I think I have a bootleg box.
Look at the
Or it's a
Street Fighter logo.
25th
It's not
Is
even.
that the 25th anniversary one?
30th, the 30th anniversary. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I got like something legitimate that might be like a manufacturing error, but I looked it up.
Or
and
is this an IGN logo on the on the Okami?
Like Okami.
You know what I mean? Like, is this that?
Like it's got
it's
the
Capcom. It could be.
And it's got the the ESRB rating doesn't look like it's warped on there. The back of it looks pretty legitimate. There's nothing that's like off about the back. And even
Weird.
the inside has like all the stuff that you would normally see on the inside of a game. So I don't know what the hell I got.
Here
the
we
game
go.
works, plays
the Street
fantastic.
Fighter subreddit from 4 months ago.
I saw
Fake,
that. Yeah.
Is this the second one from this is the second one from Amazon
Yeah.
that
Right.
looks this way.
Yep.
So in other words, be careful when you buy games from Amazon, guys, because you never know what you're getting. Because apparently it's like a dropship hub now at this point. Like it's crazy.
Dude, I
Yeah.
just saw a story come across the retro gaming Colledit subreddit that someone said, and it was GameStop strikes again. GameStop trying to sell, retro games again after
Yeah.
abandoning all of us 4 or
Right.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he bought a copy of Pokemon Silver and popped it in, and it was Stuart Little for the Game Boy Color.
Oh fuck! I would be
Authentic
so fucking
cart.
angry.
They had swapped the boards.
I'd be so angry.
Fuckers.
All
That's
right,
so
well,
funny.
I'm gonna
That's
move on from that 'cause
shameful.
we're running a little short on time. That's a really cool thing, but I got a game that I got to talk about because someone sent us, a developer sent us a game so that we can play it, and I went ahead and I played it, and I really dug it. This game is called Heistgeist. It was released on November 11th of this year, just about a little under 2 weeks ago. The developer and publisher is Double Quote Studio, and it's an RPG / visual novel / deck builder.
Cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting little concept. It takes the deck builder combat of something like Slay the Spire. It feels a lot like Slay the Spire. You sprinkle a little bit of story and RPG elements. There's even a fucking overworld map, guys. Like it's a whole RPG with a visual novel element to it.
Wow, that's really neat.
Cool things about it, honestly, it was really well polished. The artwork looks really good. Music sounds great. It's got this very cyberpunk theme to it, cyberpunk aesthetic. The story is very much cyberpunk. The animation style is kind of like that same as Slay the Spire, where it's a little stiff. Like it's definitely an indie studio that made it, but it looks nice. The music's really good. This like thumping bass, synth wave, kind of like funk, whatever sound. The dialogue in it is actually very competently voiced, kind of pretty well written. It's got an okay story. And the combat is really fun. It does a couple of things that I think is unique for a deck builder of its kind. It's a pretty standard deck builder for the most part, but it's got this cool combo system. So you can have cards that are labeled A, B, and C. And depending on what order you play them, you can do combos with the cards. So like you can have a card that does like a slash, and then you back it up with like another like reversal slash or whatever that's like the B card, and then a quick finisher with the C card. So it does like an extra effect.
Yeah,
So,
a little
like, some-
combo.
Yeah,
Reminds
some
me
of these
Mega Man EXE, like that franchise.
Right, yeah.
Rock
I'd never
Man,
seen this in a deck builder, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that was a really cool idea. As far as like the combat goes, it's pretty satisfying to like be able to drop like 10 or more cards in one turn, just like unleashing a flurry of blows kind of, and it's very well complemented by this combo system. The way that the game works is like, as a concept, it's a pretty like cut and dry cyberpunk story. You're like an edge runner / shadow runner, whatever, some sort of like you're part of a team that does
Rum
heists.
Runner.
Right,
No,
exactly.
sorry.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
Coke Mule.
right, exactly. Yes, you're getting it. So you have a botched heist in the beginning, and you're trying to get some kind of a MacGuffin for an employer. This employer contacts you after you've run away from the police, and you fucking like you run and you killed a bunch of people. telling you have 30 days to finish this heist. You have to do all these other heists in between to get cash, leads on the major heist, and then equipment and all this stuff.
Cool.
And the missions are pretty extensive. Like when you do the missions, that's when it kind of turns into Slay the Spire. You have this overworld map where you can like go back to your home base, which is like this bar, but then you go to like a building to like infiltrate it, and then it turns into like a kind of Slay the Spire map where you go in section by section, you run into encounters, you sometimes you explore the environment. Some of the things that I didn't... Oh, and it also has a really cool hacking system. I thought that was kind of cool. You can hack into certain areas, and it's got like a little card mechanic that is separate from the main card mechanic with the hacking.
Neat.
Things I didn't really like about the game, it's a little bit wordy. It's got a lot of dialogue in it. It is a story, but it's got a lot of dialogue in it. You kind of have to get through. There was a section where I waited
Sorry, you don't like to read.
Well, so that's the cool thing. It's very competently voiced, so you actually don't have to read. You get the story told to you, which is kind of nice. But again, there are large sections of the game where I'm just sitting there looking at story instead of playing the card game, which I wish that I was playing the card game in those points. The game could use a little bit of what they call juice in the game dev circles, where just, when you do combos, I wish there was kind of like maybe something to give you that little dopamine hit. Just like, boom, you did a combo, like that kind of
like
deal.
a flourish or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something kind of cool to like kind of make you feel like you did something gnarly. The story is a little cliche, like I said before, it's a pretty cut and dry cyberpunk story, at least where I'm at right now. I just started the game, so I don't know if it gets any better or more. There's more twists and turns to the story. There could be, at the point I'm at, just a little bit more variety in the cards, and it's also not particularly challenging where I'm at right now. I wish it was a little harder, but whatever. Like I said, just started it. We'll see.
Right. Might get there, right?
Honestly, the game's good. I definitely think it's worth the $20. I think right now, as of this recording, it's on sale for like $17. It's still in early.
Funny enough, its price is $19.90, which I think must be like a joke, right? Like
it could be,
right? Like a 1990s,
like a year.
It's got to
like,
be, yeah, because of the whole like cyberpunk
Pretty
aesthetic.
Right.
That's cool.
But yeah, I easily a 7 out of 10. I really enjoy the game. I'm gonna keep playing it. It's fun. Yeah.
Hell
Good job, guys. Thanks for the game.
$20, yeah.
Double quote.
Cool.
Thank you.
Mr. Venicor, I know that you are still just busy AF, but have you gotten to play anything fun this week?
Well, I've been playing a lot of Metaphor Vampire Survivors Hunt, but something happened this week, guys. About a year ago, we got our hands on this piece of hardware called the PlayStation Portal, which had a $200 price point and allowed us to stream games over our home network from our PS5 to this nice little handheld console. On November 19th, a couple of days ago, PlayStation released an update for the PS Portal and added some quality of life upgrades. But the main thing, they added cloud streaming directly to the PS Portal if you have a premium subscription. This is the most disgusting example of the podcast powers I've ever seen.
Fastest turnaround.
2 or 3 times last episode, I was just seething over how amazing this hardware would be if they just allowed cloud streaming. And days later, it stealth drops. We're playing Demon Souls. We're playing Ghost of Tsushima. We're playing Miles Morales, Monster Hunter Rise, Dave the Diver. All these PS5 mainline titles. It's not indies. It's not the PS1 library. It's not even like the PS3 whatever classics. It's the AAA PS5 library, streamable on this thing.
So you guys, you got to remember, we record our episodes a week ahead of time. We record them a week in advance, give Mac time to edit it and do all the fun stuff that he does to the episodes, right? So, like right now, we're recording this episode right after the Thanks Gaming episode dropped. Like it dropped like an hour ago, which is the episode where Venny talks about this with the PlayStation Portal.
It was recorded on November 15th, 2024.
We recorded that 4 days before they shadow announced this. So it happened so fast, there wasn't enough time for the episode to be edited and air.
Yeah.
That's crazy. This is...
We wield the power
too strong.
I now hold the crown for the fastest podcast power ever.
I can't wait until we do a podcast power, and as soon as we get done airing, like recording the episode,
you find the news article
something
and
comes
it's like,
out on like Twitter
guys!
and says, Oh, by the way, here comes Sweet Home for the newest consoles. Right
I
after
thought about inserting into the episode just like text that said, "This already happened" over Mr. Benacor's face.
Can you fucking
This-
believe it? Podcast power activate.
Yeah.
This is what else I got.
That's
I am
fucking
blown
incredible.
away.
It's a pretty good. What else?
That's
you
Hearing
got?
that news
incredible,
definitely
dude.
made me be like, "Damn, fuck that's oh man, I wish
You guys,
I
so we
God,
have a
shit,
we have a
fuck."
little Discord.
Mhm.
We have a little Discord chat for the podcast, and these guys can attest. When I found out that was shadow dropping the next day,
All caps.
I was blowing up
All
in
caps.
all
Yeah.
caps in
Yeah,
our
you went
text
nuts.
chat.
It's true.
It was wild. Just
It now makes that
mind-boggling.
$199 device pretty fucking good.
Oh,
Pretty
and one
fucking
last little
good.
thing. I got to pick up one of the 30th anniversary DualSense controllers.
Oh,
That has
Oh, you lucky
The
dog.
gray,
wanna
the
see that when it comes
PS1
out.
color buttons. Yeah, I'll bring it. I'll bring it.
Ooh, you
They
lucky
made a
devil.
PlayStation Portal in those colors for like an extra
They
$20,
sure did.
and I'm like,
Oh,
I missed
my
that?
God, that's crazy.
are they gonna
hell yeah.
are they gonna drop more of those? Because
The anniversary
Shit.
controller's already in the mail, so I should have it for the next time I'm on.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. That is a fantastic what else you got, and a perfect closer to our Battle Royale / Game Awards episode. Thank you so
Hell
much
yeah.
for listening or watching. Do us a huge favor. Like this video and subscribe to the channel or the Spotify or the Apple podcast or the iHeartRadio stream that you're using to hear my voice right now. And if you are just listening, may I suggest, sir, madam, that you do head on over to the YouTube channel because there not only will you get our like shorts fed to you through your shorts stream, so that like when you're on the toilet, you never know when you'll come across Buck talking about Taco Bell 6969 and how he's gonna fuck your mom. And catch our live streams Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those happen on YouTube. They happen on Twitch too, but not much else happens on Twitch. It's just
YouTube's been getting some good traction. We're about to
YouTube
hit
is the
700
place
subscribers.
to
Thank
go
Nice.
to see our stuff. Finally, you can reach out to us with games like you did for Geist Heist and more. I've got one that I played this week, but I'm not going to talk about it till next week. Or questions or comments that you have, email us at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. You can find links to that and much more at our linktree /the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Apple Music, Spotify. They're coming out with a new album soon, a fifth album. Is that what it was, Buck? I think that's what
Yeah,
it
they're
said.
working. They need that little bit of extra funding. If you're like Crunkwitch, support them.
Yeah, and of course, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com. Owned and operated by the Megabuck himself, Retro Game Treasure is a video game subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting retro games. So no more hunting at flea markets. No more guessing whether the local game store is overpricing their Pokemon because it's Pokemon and maybe it's actually Stuart Little in there. And no more wasted time. Okay. Instead, you simply tell Retro Game Treasure what kind of games you want to collect. And then those games come to you every month. Refurbished, working, excellent quality. That's right. Your little box of games that'll show up at your front door every month. I'm sorry. Sorry, Buck. Every month.
I'll
will
take
be,
the money every week
yeah,
if they
yeah.
really want to.
Yeah.
But
Will be filled with games that are specifically for you. They're for your taste, for your collection. You get to keep them, obviously. See that as some people's slogans. Don't know what. This isn't Gamefly, people. Buck's helping you grow your collection. I don't know if you are familiar with the word collecting. That means you own those things. So you buy them from him.
slowly getting erased from the zeitgeist.
Yeah, very strange. But the premise is that you don't have to do any of the bullshit. You just get to enjoy the games. They even keep track of the games that you own and the games that they've given you so that you never get a repeat game.
Yeah.
Grow that collection. Start collect. Oh, almost forgot. Want to start collecting a new console? You can do that too, because you can head on over to their console shop page, whether you're a member or not, to get great deals on new and refurbished consoles and accessories. Start collecting games the easy way today with RetroGameTreasure.com. My name is Max Stein. And I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
It's
so
so
bad.